Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining this breakout group. I'm going to be discussing a little bit about how to promote dementia awareness through the Dementia Friends USA program, kind of giving you a broad strokes overview before we hear from Marianne and Breana today. So very quickly, if you're interested in following up after this breakout group and this conference, this is my contact information, as well as general Dementia Friendly America contact information and social media, if you're interested in following along and keeping updated. So before we dive into Dementia Friends, I'll just provide an overview of the Dementia Friendly America initiative as a whole. So Dementia Friendly America launched in 2015 following the White House Conference on Aging, with the goal to ensure that communities and individuals across the country are equipped to support people living with dementia and their caregivers. So to achieve this, Dementia Friendly has these two main umbrellas that it works in. The first being our network of dementia-friendly communities, which is focused on community-wide impact. And then we have the second arm that I'll be speaking a bit more about today, which is the Dementia Friends program, really focused on achieving impact at the individual level, promoting that awareness of dementia. This project is modeled after Minnesota's Act on Alzheimer's project. U.S. Aging serves as the fiscal agent and program administrator for Dementia Friendly America, but we are guided by a national council of over 35 leading organizations in the dementia and aging space. So you'll see here on this slide, if you're interested in learning more about the national initiative as a whole, you can visit the Dementia Friendly website, as well as the Dementia Friends USA website. So to kind of recap what I touched on the slide before, these are the two main umbrellas that DFA works under. First, which we won't dive into here today, but I'm sure you've heard a lot about dementia-friendly communities at this wonderful conference that's being put on in Washington. DFA is focused on kind of the community at large initiatives through a toolkit process that is also flexible to walk folks through different steps to engage their community in taking steps towards becoming more dementia friendly. And this also encapsulates a sector-based approach with our sector guides to help bring in different corners of your community as you embark on your community initiatives. Now, today, kind of the subject of this breakout group is the Dementia Friends USA program. There is an online program that you'll see if you go onto the Dementia Friends website, where individuals can watch a series of vignettes about what it is like to experience and live with dementia, as well as a post program evaluation, and then a portion of the website where they can commit to an action item that they'd like to carry out in their community to be more of a friend to those living with dementia. Today, we'll focus on kind of the structure and overview of what an in-person program looks like that Marigrace is fortunate enough to help us disseminate in Washington State. So I'll jump into some of those details for you now. Before actually I do that, I'll give you some fast facts about Dementia Friends. It was born out of a global social awareness movement that started in the Alzheimer's Society UK in England. It came over to the US, where US Aging became the US licensee of the program. Currently, the program is active in 33 US states and territories. We're trying to get the last 17 and anybody else who wants to join through a sub-licensing process. I think the most recent states we've added to the Dementia Friends network are Florida, Mississippi, and New Mexico. So we're very excited to welcome them. The program is active in over 30 countries worldwide, which is pretty amazing. And just in the US, we have over 148,000 Dementia Friends. I continue to be astonished by the number because I still consider myself relatively new to the program. I've been with US Aging for the past 2 years, but it's been incredible to see the growth. And across the globe, there are over 20 million Dementia Friends, which gives me a lot of hope. So to kind of lay out the general structure of the Dementia Friends program, if you're not already involved in your local Dementia Friends program, A new state sub-license receives a Dementia Friends toolkit, which includes a lot of materials to help a state program get up on their feet and establish their master trainer, who for all intents and purposes is the person tasked with or responsible for training new dementia friend champions across their state to disseminate this public awareness education curriculum. So a master trainer will typically self-train unless there's somebody else who's already trained up on the program with a champion guidebook that walks you through how to deliver a session, helpful tips and tricks, any ways to possibly adapt activities to be more appropriate for audiences, and so on. From there, a Dementia Friends champion, once they're trained up, feeling comfortable providing these information sessions, will then go out into the community and deliver information sessions to a wide variety of community members. It may be to the general public, it may be certain community groups, sectors, industries, businesses who are interested in learning how to support community members living with dementia. And then our hope from there is that after individuals participate in these information sessions, they go on to be dementia friends in their community. They continue to embody what it means to be a friend. They walk towards people living with dementia and support them as best as possible, and stay curious to continue learning about how to best support individuals living with dementia as well as their care partners. So to just recap kind of what we hope to be the takeaways for participants in these information sessions, I'm sharing the 5 key messages, which are also available on the Dementia Friends website, but this is what is included in the curriculum for folks to take away after they've attended a 60-minute session. The first being that dementia is not a normal part of aging, and that not everyone who grows old will develop dementia. It's important for us to drive home also the concept that dementia is caused by diseases of the brain, the most common form being Alzheimer's, and also kind of challenging some misconceptions that people may have that dementia is not just about having memory problems. It can also affect other things like thinking, communication, and completing daily tasks that people may be used to. We also want to obviously emphasize and highlight as DFA that it's possible to have a good quality of life while living with dementia. And finally, to instill in folks that there's more to a person than a dementia diagnosis, and that individuals living with dementia are a valuable part of their communities. So I'll just highlight a few slides here from our friends in Washington to share how you can get involved, or just to familiarize yourself with the structure of Dementia Friends Washington. So the state lead in Washington, so the Dementia Friends sub-license holder, is the University of Washington Medicine, Memory, and Brain Wellness Center. So they oversee statewide program implementation of the Dementia Friends program that I just provided that brief overview for, as well as, so that encompasses everything from delivering information sessions, training new champions, disseminating statewide communication, and evaluating the program, as well as partnering with the Dementia Action Collaborative and other regional lead organizations at the county or tribal level to build awareness across the state. So you'll notice on one of my previous slides, I had how Dementia Friends works. This is now tailored to Washington State. You'll see that this structure follows a regional lead. Dementia Friends Washington has identified that this structure is most effective in identifying a regional organization that launches the Dementia Friends program in one or more counties or tribes across the states, and then from there identifies the master champion for that area, who then trains other volunteers who become champions as well to lead those informal Dementia Friends information sessions. So I won't go too much into detail on these champions, but as Marigrace said before, champions are volunteers who coordinate with their regional lead to deliver these information sessions. And as you can see here, our hope is that the impact of attending these sessions for community members is to reduce the stigma about what it means to live with dementia and how to approach fellow community members, as well as increased community support. So I think on the next slide, we have a map of Dementia Friends Washington's footprint, which is super impressive. So wherever you see the icon, there's a regional lead organization who's spearheading Dementia Friends information sessions in that area. So I encourage you, if you are in one of those counties and you've not yet become a Dementia Friend, to seek out your master champion to get involved, become a Dementia Friend yourself, and also find out how you can volunteer your time if you're so inclined. But if you're from any of the other states where you don't have a regional lead present, I know that Marigrace would welcome your participation. So we love to see all the spread. If you're interested in learning more about how to get involved with Dementia Friends Washington State, this is the website that you can go to for all of the relevant information for you. But before I hand it over to Marianne and Breana, I wanted to just close with a few notes on how the curriculum can be best adapted for different audiences that you may be engaging. So to date, the Dementia Friends curriculum has been translated into 14 languages. So that includes the workbook for attendees, as well as champions who are delivering the information sessions. The toolkit, as I mentioned before, includes a session overview that has various tips for adjusting certain parts of the session to be most appropriate depending on what audience that you're engaging, as well as sector guides, which is kind of the tie-in to Dementia Friendly America. We have sector guides that are relevant to different corners of the community for places like businesses, faith communities, healthcare settings, to know how to best support individuals living with dementia and their care partners as they engage and interface with them in the community. So these sector guides can be kind of interwoven into the information sessions depending on who your audience is and who's approached you to conduct the session. Additionally, we've heard that different champions and state leads like to incorporate personal anecdotes, quotes, obviously with permission, and testimonials from individuals with lived experience so that their voice can be infused throughout the session and really kind of deliver maximum impact. And that ties into other pieces that are fully flexible for champions to really engage their audience and encourage their participation. But finally, I'll close with a really cool element of the Dementia Friends curriculum being a bookcase story, which has been adapted by the International Association for Indigenous Aging, along with the rest of the curriculum, which I'll let them get into after wrapping this up. But we know that different communities identify with different stories, different anecdotes and experiences. The bookcase story is a really cool one that's kind of an analogy to help, I guess, illustrate to folks how different parts of thinking may be lost earlier than others, with the top shelf referring to folks' ability to reason and apply logic to certain situations, and then with feelings, emotions further on down the bookcase that as it is shook would be preserved while other items at the top would be progressively lost. But as we know, different communities relate to different imagery, and different aspects of storytelling are effective for different folks. So I'd like to hand it over to IA² to talk a little bit more about probably that story's adaptation into something completely new and wonderful, as well as other adaptations to the curriculum that we are so pleased to see.
Thank you so much, Darya, for that wonderful introduction to Dementia Friends. So appreciate all your work and the support that you've offered us here in Washington State. It's my pleasure to introduce our next presenters from the International Association for Indigenous Aging, and that includes Breana Dorame. Breana is a Southern California native of the Gabrielino Tongva tribe who now resides in Central Oregon. She attended the University of California, Santa Barbara, majoring in zoological sciences and minoring in American Indian and Indigenous Studies, and the Gewurz Science and Mathematics education minor. She was a member of the American Indian Student Association and member and then fourth-year president of the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. She was a co-creator of the STANS conference at UCSB, providing education and resources for Native high school students from mentors and elders. She has always been passionate about education and outreach regarding Indigenous communities and environmental matters, and is actively involved in her tribal community. She works closely with her multi-generational family for federal recognition and has been an anthropological monitor for sacred land protection. Breana is interested in the public health and research realm, specializing in American Indian and Alaska Native communities in IA Squared. Marianne O'Meara is the Public Health Programs and Communications Associate with IA Squared. She received a Bachelor of Science in Community Health Education with a minor in Substance Abuse Education, Prevention, Intervention, and Treatment from Central Michigan University, and a Master's in Public Health at the University of Michigan in 2020. Throughout her time in college, Marianne gained special interest in working with tribal communities, including an experience working with the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe of Mount Pleasant. At the University of Michigan, Marianne served as a research assistant with Dr. Katie Schultz, continuing her study of Native American and tribal communities. This work focused on the importance of community and cultural connectedness as a protective factor and culturally derived interventions. Marianne is interested in sustainable solutions that prioritize, include, and support Indigenous knowledge. Thank you so much, Breana and Marianne. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you for that, Marigrace.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, so I'll probably not be able to see anyone. So just let me know if you can see it. Are we good?
Yes.
Awesome.
So
Marianne, do you want to start?
Yeah, thank you again, Darya, too, and Marigrace for that intro. That was really nice. As she said, my name is Marianne, and then my coworker here, Breana. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Dementia Friends and our adaptation specifically for American Indian and Alaskan Native communities. So a little bit first about IA Squared, or the International Association for Indigenous Aging. We work to advance both knowledge and practice and promote engagement at all levels. We acknowledge the history, rights, cultures, and value of Indigenous people throughout their lifespan. Responding to the needs of those we serve, we generate research, we convene key players to identify novel approaches to cross-cutting issues, and we work to bridge the gap between policy, research, and practice. We have successfully implemented projects that tapped into our staff and our network's partner abilities. And on this slide, it just shows the other folks that we work with. As you can see, we have Kendra, Jamie, myself, Breana, and Peggy Jo.
So the overall goal of the program is to create dementia-friendly communities where those living with dementia or memory loss and their community members can thrive, specifically in tribal communities. The way IA Squared plans to do this is through a ripple effect. This ripple effect through Dementia Friends for American Indian and Alaska Native communities for information sessions and champion trainings. IA Squared has worked with Dementia Friendly American Nevada to develop a Dementia Friends program for American Indian and Alaska Native communities, and we continue to work with talking circles and American Indian and Alaska Native communities to culturally tailor the sessions for our people. And this is a map. I'm not sure if Darya showed this, but a map of all of the Dementia Friends leads in the state. So in 2016, the state of Nevada was awarded a grant through the Administration for Community Living, also known as ACL, to launch the Dementia Friendly Nevada initiative. Over the following 2 years, 6 communities across the state signed on to the movement, pledging to build a diverse coalition, including people living with dementia and their care partners who would work together to build a community that is supportive and inclusive of people living with dementia and their care partners. The PISA Tsunami Advisory Group, convened by the Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe, represents 3 communities surrounding Pyramid Lake, which include Sutcliffe, Nixon, and Wadsworth. Using national statistics for dementia prevalence, we estimate that approximately 85 elders are living with dementia in these communities, and it is their mission for Pyramid Lake to make a better place to live for those elders, their families, and all their community members. And in the Northern Paiute language, they have no word specifically for dementia. So the tribe searched for a name for their group that didn't involve such vocabulary. They chose Pisasuname, which means good thoughts and good thinking. Through their advisory group, they hope to build good thoughts towards elders living with dementia and also strive to support their own good thinking through brain health lifestyles.
So in collaboration with Dementia Friendly America Nevada and various community members, we adapted the Dementia Friends materials specifically for American Indian and Alaska Native individuals and communities. So IA Squared actually serves as the national hub for dementia and Alzheimer's information resources serving Indian country, Alaska Native villages, and urban Indian populations using various public health approaches. In 2021, IA Squared applied to become the National Dementia Friends licensee. The intent was to allow tribes and tribal organizations found in any state to affiliate with IA Squared as a national serving organization and to create a culturally relevant adaptation of the program. So this was a novel national licensing agreement that allows tribes and tribal organizations that are again found in any state to affiliate with us or IA Squared for training and the use of the educational program. With authorization from the national licensing entity, IA Squared and our training partners have teamed up to convene a revision work group that was comprised of aging services staff, Indigenous people from across the US. And the work group and the National Healthy Brain Advisory Group, we volunteered more than 150 hours of time to revise the content. Some of the revisions that were made included plain language so tribal communities can easily translate the Dementia Friends content, and the adapted content addresses 6 key messages on dementia. It also incorporates imagery and messaging that's reflective of Indigenous cultural values. And it also includes a new video and information graphic that we produced at IA Squared.
So the cultural adaptation of Dementia Friends for American Indian and Alaska Native communities has reached and trained more than 243 Dementia Friends and 33 champions from more than 50 tribes and Alaska villages. You can see here, we actually were up in Washington. What was that, last month, I think? I think we have a picture of that. So that was for the Northwest Portland Area Indian Health Board Summit on brain health. And this is a picture of our new Dementia Friends. So as a Dementia Friend, you will be able to describe dementia, the most common types and risks. Understand we have 6 key messages rather than the global kind of 5 messages to know about dementia, know how to effectively communicate with someone living with dementia, pick an action that you can take as part of becoming a dementia friend. So this was at the Swinomish Casino and Lodge. And then Darya did touch on this, but becoming a Dementia Friends champion, you're able to bring Dementia Friends information sessions to your tribal or Alaska Native community, receive free training, including a champion's guide with a full script, offer sessions as big or as small at any time conveniently for you, and then commit to lead a minimal number of information sessions per year with help from your master trainers or other champions. And for IA Squared, these are our champion trainers. So our champion trainers hold our information sessions and champion trainings for Dementia Friends for American Indian and Alaska Native communities. And we've hosted multiple virtual sessions and had a few in-person sessions as well. So trainers from IA Squared are myself and Marianne. And then the trainers from the University of Nevada, Reno, Dementia Engagement Education and Research Program, which is also known as the DEAR program, are Casey Ackland, their graduate research assistant, and Cody Yamada, their education coordinator. And Cody is also Native Hawaiian as well. So Casey is a master trainer and is able to train our champions to bring information sessions to their communities. And I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because I don't know if I had my sound shared, but we want to show you a video. Okay, let me pull this up. Can everyone see my screen again? Okay. Oops. Sorry, that just froze for a minute. So please enjoy this video of our very own Dave Baldridge. He is our executive director, founder of I Squared. He's Cherokee. He's reading a story called The River. So this is similar to the book Case Story. And The River applies a Native American cultural analogy to the topic of dementia. And this updated version of the River story has been created for use in the adaptation for Dementia Friends for American Indian and Alaska Native communities. And Dave is very open about this, but Dave successfully lives and works with dementia. And the River story was originally written and narrated by Dr. Anton Truer, who is Ojibwe. And I'm going to play this right now.
For every human being, life is like a river. The constant flow of water represents our daily experiences, from routine and familiar to those that take us by surprise. If we're lucky enough to live a long life, we'll experience the river in each of the 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. Spring is early childhood, when the river is new to us and we're just learning about all the fish, birds, and animals that connect with it. Summer is our experience from childhood to adulthood, when we transition from relying on others to navigating the water and harvesting for ourselves. Fall is adulthood, when we know the river and its resources and dangers well enough to provide for others, raise children, and chart our own course in the world. Winter is elderhood, when we've acquired the deepest knowledge and wisdom, but also start to experience changes from the aging of our bodies. Dementia is like navigating a river freezing in a long winter storm or even a blizzard. Storms can come in any season, although they're most common and most severe in winter. The wind and snow make it harder to see and hear the water. Everyday life, the natural flow of the water, becomes harder to navigate. Thinking activities that used to be easy, like planning a fishing trip, buying bait, planning meals for the trip, and reaching out to others to join the activity, become increasingly difficult. However, even at the start of a winter storm, emotional experiences and feelings remain strong. For example, the love of fishing, the memory of the sunlight bouncing off the rippling current, and the joy of company. The longer a person lives with dementia, the thicker the ice on the river can become. The everyday flow of experiences beneath the surface is more difficult to reach and navigate without help. Eventually, even deep and lifelong emotional and spiritual connections are harder to access through the thickening ice. This story of a river in a long winter storm helps explain the experience of dementia. Facts, recent memories, and complex thinking become harder to reach in the thickening ice, while deeper memories and emotions continue to flow under the surface.
Thank you for watching that. So just a excerpt from the Dementia Friends for American Indian Alaska Native Communities information session. So we tell this afterwards. So it's important to remember that dementia affects each person differently. However, this analogy of a river in a long winter storm helps explain the experience of progressive dementia. The brain does store both recent and past memories. Recent memories are closer to the surface of the river, past memories are deeper down. As a person moves through life with dementia, facts, recent memory, and complex thinking become frozen first while the deeper memories continue to flow. Eventually, as the ice thickens, emotions and feelings become harder to reach. However, those emotional memories are still flowing underneath, and we can each play a role in breaking through the ice to help someone reconnect with those happy experiences.
So I2, we've also adapted the Lancet risk factors for dementia infographic that you can see here on the screen. And we created a version culturally tailored towards American Indian and Alaska Native communities. So the process of creating this infographic included talking circles with tribal community members, our dementia friends and champions, the University of Nevada, the DEAR program, and IA2's brain health leadership team, as well as our internal staff members. This is also found in the Dementia Friends workbook for American Indian and Alaska Native communities. And this infographic can also be downloaded as a standalone document on our website, or can be used as part of the Dementia Friends for American Indian and Alaska Native communities workbook. So also on our website, we have a new interactive platform. We're calling it the Dementia Friends Room Experience. This experience is adapted from the Dementia Friends Canada website. So there are many signs of dementia. They're not always related to memory loss. So these scenarios help recognize some of those early signs of dementia and offer tips on what people can do to help. So we've included general scenarios with which most people interact, like a kitchen, restaurant, an office, driving, public transit, as well as a grocery store.
And for the adaptations, just to add on to that, we wanted to make the imagery a little bit more relatable for American Indian and Alaska Native communities. So that's something that we worked with our team to try and find imagery that was a little bit more relatable.
So for the first experience that you can click into, we spend a lot of time in our kitchen doing routine tasks. So even though it seems like a routine, the kitchen can be a place where loved ones with dementia can struggle. So in this scenario, you'll see a lot of different stars that you can click on. One of those is related to the clock. So a person with memory problems or dementia, they might get confused working with numbers. For example, they may have trouble telling the time or understanding how time passes. And so a tip would be that if you see this, to offer gentle reminders of specific moments throughout the day, like breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And these reminders can help provide order to their day and a clearer sense of time.
Another one of the scenarios is when you go out to a restaurant or other social settings, you might notice your loved one has early signs of dementia. So one of the examples is money. So trouble planning or solving problems. Watch out for people who are having challenges paying the cashier with their credit card or with cash. Changes in memory can affect a person's ability to pay the cashier or to use money. So a tip that we offer, as we do with every star, is if you see someone having this challenge, try and show a little bit of patience and compassion.
The next one is the office. So many of us spend more time at work or in our office than we really do anywhere else. And early signs of dementia may make themselves known in an environment like this. So in this scenario, for the one that we gave an example, it's related to phone calls. So it may become hard for a person with dementia or memory problems to use a phone, although you can get dementia-friendly apps for mobile phones. It can still be confusing. So a tip is that, if possible, try using a phone that has larger numbers on the keypad, or consider labeling a speed dial button with a person's important contact, maybe a son or a daughter.
So this scenario is about driving. So it can be hard to drive even in the best of times. But when driving, you might really notice early signs of dementia in your loved ones. So for this example, it's about distances, trouble with tasks that require your eyesight to connect with your thinking. So for some people with dementia or memory loss, it may be more difficult to judge distances and understand where things are. So a tip for this example could be you may tell the person with memory problems to park in a not park in a tight spot, or you can help them by just helping them guide themselves into a parking spot.
And this one is related to public transit. So people with dementia may experience difficulties taking public transit, even if it's a very familiar route for them or a route that they've been taking for a long time. So in this scenario, we note that memory problems and dementia make it more difficult for a person to plan their route using a map. So if you know someone living with dementia, maybe try to learn their bus route, and using reminders can be helpful for people living with dementia. And if you notice someone who is confused while looking at a map, it's always nice to ask in a gentle way if you can help.
In this scenario, it's about kind of like grocery stores and shopping. So grocery stores and markets are important places for everyone, but it can be hard for loved ones with dementia to handle some of the situations that are in these places. So our example is options. So too many options can be overwhelming, and it can be hard for people with dementia or memory problems to make decisions with many choices. A tip would be to make grocery lists using photos, or if you notice someone struggling to make a choice, show them 2 different options to pick from. So we're hoping that the Dementia Friends Rooms experience is going to be an easy way for people to look at different scenarios in their communities. And we tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. So people that are living with dementia could potentially, or memory loss problems could potentially navigate through it as well.
And so oftentimes we're asked at the end of sessions like this, what can I do to get involved, or what can I do now? Or for folks, that have dementia, or somebody whose loved one has dementia. And so we decided to put in a few ways to participate. And one of those things that we're doing is that we're actually putting together a library of stories, including the perspectives of American Indian and Alaska Native elders or their caregivers about memory loss, related dementias, caregiving, or aging matters that surround memory loss and dementia in Native communities. I would think of this similarly to the Humans of New York, if you've ever seen that, or Project 562, which recently came out. And so our goal is to hear from, American Indian and Alaska Native community members about their different perspectives and their different insights into what it's like, to either know someone or be someone living with memory loss. By participating, you will receive a gift card. And we're hoping to hear different people's stories as well as receive a photo. You can scan the QR code there or visit our website to learn more. This is very similar to what I just spoke about, but for this one, we're looking to actually receive the perspectives, but also the, taboos or misconceptions surrounding memory loss. Some of the things that we've heard is that in some tribal communities, there's not a word for dementia. Some people refer to it as the winter years, or maybe they're returning to a childlike state. So we're hoping to actually hear from people about what these conversations are like in their communities. Again, by participating, you'll receive a gift card. And if you would like to learn more, go ahead and scan the QR code there on the screen, or you can visit us on our website as well.
We've also taken an effort to create and maintain social media presence So you can find us across various platforms, including Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or it's called X now, and Facebook. So we share a lot about our upcoming opportunities and things we're up to, including our Dementia Friends information sessions, which our next session, we haven't got that down yet, but for virtual, the virtual session, but we are going to be at the NICOA conference in Cherokee, North Carolina next week, and we're going to actually be holding an in-person session. We're also very busy with creating a monthly American Indian Alaska Native Brain Health e-news. So our e-news includes various stories, new programs and posts, promising practices, community voices, stories. So you can subscribe to our e-news by following the QR code.
We just wanted to say thank you again. You can contact us there or feel free to reach out to us via our website.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Breana and Marianne, for that wonderful and inspiring and beautiful presentation, for all the amazing work you're doing. We so appreciate it and appreciate your time spent sharing it with us. We have about 7 minutes for questions, and I'll open it up for questions from anybody or for anybody that is presented. So we can do that through the chat, or if you want to raise your hand on camera and be called on and ask the question verbally, that works too. So either type your question or comment in the chat, or go ahead and raise your hand on camera and we can call on you. Seeing a lot of positive remarks in the chat. This is amazing. Thank you for sharing. This work is super inspiring. Lauren, you have a question. You want to go ahead and unmute?
Yes, and I don't know how to turn these things off. There we go. There it is. But I had asked Darya in the chat when she was just after she had finished her piece, how is Dementia Friends funded? How are these other organizations funded? I'd like a little bit more explanation on that, if possible, verbally, because it just
Sure.
cross.
Yeah, I hope my chat wasn't confusing, because I can understand.
Yeah.
There's lots of moving parts.
Of course.
So I am a program manager at US Aging, which is the administrator for Dementia Friendly America. So I guess think of Dementia Friendly America as the parent for Dementia Friends USA. And Dementia Friendly America is privately supported by sponsors and stakeholders. So that's where we receive our funding from for our daily operations.
Okay, what do you mean by sponsors and stakeholders? Who are those kind of people? Are these government contracts? Are these rich donors? Are these what is that?
We are guided by our national council, and there's a membership associated with that, as well as sponsorship from our executive committee. Yeah. So Dementia Friends state sub-license holders vary state to state. So Marigrace is at the University of Washington, and I don't know if you're comfortable speaking to how you're structured and how you pursued the state sub-license. That may be helpful, but it does look different state to state. So when organizations or folks in states who aren't currently in the Dementia Friends Network are interested in acquiring a sub-license, we'll typically have kind of a first meeting with the DFA team to kind of run through what a prospective implementation plan may look like, including sustainability and talking through what funding looks like for the organization pursuing the sub-license. But as I said, it varies state to state. What we look at when we enter into the sub-licensing process with an organization is sustainability. Sometimes folks have a fiscal sponsor. Sometimes it's built into someone's program through their place of work, the organization that they work in. So it may look very different state to state, but we're always happy to have a conversation about sub-licensure if you're interested, or you know an organization that may be well suited for it and what that possibility may look like, or also helping individuals who may be interested, help them identify what a great champion organization might be to join the network. So I hope that's helpful.
Well, forgive me if I'm still confused. if I was to join Dementia Friends, if my organization was to join Dementia Friends, how would I get paid? Where would my paycheck come from?
It's a volunteer program, I guess, in that it really depends, though, how it's structured. If an organization is well situated and would like to incorporate Dementia Friends programming into their suite of programming, that would be their decision to make. And sometimes dementia education, public awareness education is built into someone's funded position through the entity that they're employed by that may hold the sub-license. So in terms of maintenance, though, anyone interested in acquiring a sub-license would pay a one-time licensing fee, have the host of materials to implement the program in their state, but how that is structured, how it's disseminated would be largely up to the state, and how it fits best.
Okay, so this is more the packet of materials
Yes,
rather than the program. It's not the entity, it's just the materials. Yes.
that is the program, yes.
Okay, okay. So it's not, I think I understand. It's something to be brought into an existing organization like the University of Washington or DSHS, another already funded entity.
Precisely. And the online program that we're looking to update and hopefully revamp online is an online curriculum. It varies from the in-person sessions that you can attend in your state, in your local community. So the difference is that we offer a version on our website for folks who aren't connected in their state or their state doesn't have a sub-license to at least engage them as best as we can. But you're correct in that DFA, as the sub-licensee of the program, we're responsible for administering the materials to those folks interested in disseminating within their state.
I think I have a better understanding. I just
Good, it's a great question.
like this happen or work out. I'm a skeptic by nature, so the way it was described in your message and throughout this has kind of smacked of a pyramid scheme MLM to me, but with dementia rather than Tupperware or skincare.
No, I can assure you
yeah,
that's not the
I'm
structure,
sure
but
it's not, but
yeah,
but
I recognize in shorter form presentations, it can be hard to understand some of the nuances and it's hard for me to incorporate all of that. But if you have follow-up questions or you're interested in the process yourself, feel free to reach out to me directly. And we can also have one-on-one conversations to illuminate some other questions you may have.
I did get your email written down, but thank you very much for taking
Awesome.
a moment to clarify that for me because I was getting very confused.
You got it.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Lauren, assuming you're in Washington State, you're welcome to reach out to me as well to talk about how it works in Washington. So
Okay, yes, I've actually jumped on the website already. I have a name of Kelsey Ehlers,
great, in your area, perfect.
representative for Southampton County. So I have her email address. I'll probably reach out to her.
Very
for
good.
Further clarifying questions.
Wonderful. Other questions or comments for our presenters? I saw one question in chat, which was, are the materials for Dementia Friends translated into Japanese?
I'd like to say yes. I'm going to double check because I can't keep track of the list in my head all the time. So I'll confirm that in the chat for you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Curious if any folks here are already implementing Dementia Friends in their own county, if they have experience that they want to speak to around that. You're welcome to type into chat or again, raise your hand on Zoom. Darya, while you're looking up, there's another question about, same question about translation, but for Chinese languages.
I do know that Chinese has been translated multiple times, so we do have those materials.
Hi, looks like there was a question earlier from Matthew, and they said, is there a link that we could access this? And I'm not sure what this is, but just wanted to give them a chance to ask what that was.
You already put a link. I asked the Dementia Friends rooms experience that I could look at that more closely, and somebody posted the link. So thank you so much for that.
I see in the chat that Idaho is implementing Dementia Friends. It's very well received statewide. Great to hear, Luann. Thank you. Other questions or comments for any of our presenters, or thoughts on Dementia Friends happening in your own area? I see in chat, Darya says right now she doesn't believe they have the curriculum translated to Japanese, but the state leads are always seeking new partnerships to develop these materials. Thanks, Darya. Well, I'll toss out a question since we have time. To Breana and Marianne, I'm curious. I know you said you came to the and presented at the Swinomish Casino recently for that event. I'm curious, do you have any other hopes and dreams for the state of Washington in terms of reaching out within the various tribal communities here with dementia awareness or Dementia Friends in particular?
I think we do. So we're working really closely with the Northwest Portland Area Indian Health Board, specifically Chandra Wilson. I know that she is very interested in trying to kind of get all of the Pacific Northwest very invested with Dementia Friends, specifically for American Indian and Alaska Native communities. I actually just had a meeting with her yesterday. So I think it's very promising for the Pacific Northwest. Marianne, do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that that's exactly true. And when we were actually up at the casino giving the training, we had a lot of folks that expressed interest also in becoming champions to then be able to bring the program back to their home community. I will say that we actually have had somebody due to us doing the plain language adaptation of the program actually provide the Dementia Friends session for American Indian Alaska Native communities, but translated it into the Navajo language so that the folks that she had at the presentation could, you know, understand and follow along a little better, as some of them actually didn't speak English at all. So with the adaptation, these folks were actually able to, you know, first of all, translate it and then be able to share a little bit more clearly with the folks from their home community.
Thank you. I had a comment directly to me about looking for the contact for Dementia Friends Washington in their county. And I just put into chat again the website for Dementia Friends Washington that has a little chart that lists who the organization is leading in different counties. So if it's already operating in your county, you can find that list there. And if it's not in your county, you can reach out to me about how to get it started. Tamara.
Hi, yes, I have a question. I reached out to an individual responsible for a program that serves members from the Indigenous community. And it was really interesting to me to understand and learn that just like in any community, even in one family, there are different responses and different beliefs around memory loss. And this woman was describing her own relationship with her mom and using lots of, language that was hard for me to hear around stigma and various things like that. But she also then described her sister, who had a very different relationship with her mother. And thankfully the mom was living with that daughter. But I'm curious if any of you can speak to, there's language, and as someone who identifies as white, who wants to work to sort of start at a fundamental level of education and understanding of where the cultural beliefs are and where the foundation is, so that I could work together with them to create programming that brings people joy. But I just would love if you've had experiences with that sort of the two faces, even within one cultural community. And like, how did you go about doing the translations in all these languages, which I'm so happy to hear about.
Thank you, Tamara. And I'll just say we have about 3 minutes for the response to that. So
Thanks.
So I'll try, I guess. I know that actually part of the process of us gathering those stories from folks to get different perspectives and insights. We've had some folks even share with us that they will not speak about it out loud in regards to their family or loved ones because of the fear that if you say it out loud, then it will become true. And so we've ran into that actually quite a bit. So it's this like, we don't talk about that. We don't share about that. And so for us, it's like, let's start this conversation, even if it's not talking directly about your family member, but just talking about the topic in general to try to get the conversation started a little bit so that folks do have the opportunity to, you know, open up and maybe relate to other people. And similarly, we've heard too that, you know, there's not a word for it or that they don't talk about it at all in their community because they view it as a stage of life, as a part of the actual cycle of growing and aging. So I don't know exactly how to explain it any better than that, but maybe Bree has some insight as well.
I think you hit it on the head, and we've had some stories where there's been some tumultuousness within families and family dynamics because one person is trying to address it or not too. So I think it's a very complicated thing. So that's why we're hoping that the perspectives will provide a little bit more comfort to family dynamics when people are dealing with memory loss within their family.
Well, thank you so very much. I want to again recognize and thank and express my deep gratitude to our presenters. Thank you so much, Darya. Thank you so much, Breana. Thank you so much, Marianne, for spending your hour with us today and all the preparation that went into this. I also want to thank our Zoom host, which is Breana Jones from Washington State University and the iReach program. Thank you, Breana, for supporting us today. We so appreciate you. And thank you all for your interest in this very important topic around dementia awareness and that specific spotlight on Indigenous communities. So thanks for being here.